Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. In this video today, we're going to be talking about just how Riot really lied to us about the state of healing in League of Legends, their plans for it for the future, and just all of the stuff surrounding healing, because it's become a more and more prevalent issue, as players have certainly noticed over the past couple of seasons, but especially into preseason 11 as we get closer and closer to the start of the season 11 date. Riot has made some new changes to their philosophy surrounding healing and stuff like this, and it's been causing quite a controversy, quite a stir on Reddit and in parts of the community. So we're definitely going to be talking about all that stuff today, and it should make for a pretty interesting discussion. But before we get into that, I just want to mention real quick, if you're not already subscribed, definitely click that subscribe button really quick. It's fast, it's free, it's easy, it helps you guys stay up to date on all my latest content, and I would appreciate it a ton. We recently passed 5,400 subscribers. Maybe we could hit 5,500 by the end of the year, but headed into the new year, 5,500 is for sure a goal on the horizon that I hope to hit very, very soon, and you guys can help me do just that. But with that being said, here we go. So 5 months ago, Riot released this, which was the preseason 2021 champion class item goals, where they announced that they were going to be doing this huge item overhaul for season 11, and they announced what some of their goals for all of that were going to be. They wanted to give you guys very, very early on. This is obviously like pretty early on in the development process of all the new items, all the new season 11 changes, all the preseason changes, everything. They wanted to set out some goals. It's great to have goals. Whenever you go into any project, into anything, you need to know what you're working toward. You want to know what the future you want to see, what a successful project and outcome is going to be. And then after season 11 becomes implemented a little bit, you can look back and say, oh, we did well on this goal, we didn't do so well on this goal, and we're going to continue to improve and work towards meeting our actual goals and getting the game that we want. Because in your head, on paper, you can make things exactly how you want them to be. So Riot set apart these things. It's like, if season 11 is a success, this is what will happen. And the very first thing that they hint on here is healing and grievous wounds. Healing has become more prevalent, they say, in the game over the last few years, and we'd like to address a few specific problems. That sounds great. I think a lot of players would agree with that. Healing was kind of crazy for a while. It went from this thing where early on, there's a couple healing champions. You know, you got Soraka, you got Sona, maybe some champions balanced around healing, Aatrox, Mundo, guys like that. But then all of a sudden, Conqueror, healing items, Conqueror's on every single champion, the healing's crazy. All of a sudden, it seems like you can't even kill anybody unless you can just absolutely burst them 100-0. And that's another just argument in this whole thing, is that we have damage creep coming up over time. And part of the reason is it's necessary to have damage creep when you have an overabundance of healing. People need to be getting one shot, otherwise they're just going to out heal and never be killable. So it's this really weird balancing act where there's a ton of healing being added to the game. Burst needs increased skill with the healing. Grievous wounds kind of sucks. Every champion has healing, so grievous wounds becomes even more necessary, even though it doesn't really even feel like it's doing anything because there's just so much damn healing. So it was just really, really weird back and forth. So Riot wanted to address that, which a lot of people were very excited for. A lot of people thought was a great option. So they said, healing has become so common that grievous wounds has gone from a contextual choice meant for healing heavy games to a viable option in most games. I completely believe that. You look at the other team, in most games, you can be like, wow, grievous wounds would be great against at least one, usually two, if not sometimes 3 or 4 champions on the other team. That's in Season 10, that's in Preseason 11. That has been the case for maybe even close to like 2 years now, since Conqueror really started becoming one of the staple runes on a ton of champions. So they said they're looking across runes, items, and champ kits to trim some healing where they think it's unnecessary, which should in turn reduce the necessity of grievous wound options and builds. So that's awesome. We love to hear that. Again, a lot of people agreed with that. They said, on the other hand, grievous wounds can sometimes feel underpowered when trying to stop a very strong healer. I completely agree with that too. Sometimes you'll build grievous wounds against like Mundo, and he'll still heal from like 10% HP straight up to 100 through your grievous wounds. He'll one-shot you. It's disgusting. Soraka can be crazy sometimes. I don't know, like Kayn, Aatrox. There's some guys that, yeah, it seems like grievous wounds doesn't even do anything. So they talk about wanting to be able to stop a very strong healer, even when they snowballed. But then on the other side, that's kind of weird too, because if the whole champion's built around healing and grievous wounds just kind of cucks them for like 800 gold or whatever, that feels bad too, which is why I think the whole healing debate is really crazy. There's so much stuff on both sides, and it's not an easy solution. So they said they're looking to make grievous wounds a sharper effect that more effectively counters extreme healing situation and gives up a bit of its upfront power. So that was what we heard. That was the latest. Again, this was 5 months ago. And we hadn't really heard anything from Riot since then. You know, they start doing the Season 11 changes. They start coming out with all of these new items. A bunch of stuff starts happening. And obviously, Season 11 is going to be crazy. There's going to be a ton of patches. Stuff's going to constantly be changing. So, you know, we're just willing to give Riot some time to figure all their stuff out. But Then we had this Reddit thread come out where this guy's saying Riot lied to us. Here's the proof. That's obviously what is inspiring me making this video in the first place, where he links to this article and talks about just what Riot has said in the past, how they're not following up with that, how they're not following through with that. And Riot's response on Reddit was this, which a lot of people are like, why is a guy just responding on Reddit? That's super, super weird. But now Riot has come to say for the first time, again, this is on Reddit. This isn't an official Riot Games post, no Twitter, no like LOL website, nothing like that. This is just a Reddit post from, I believe, Riot Beluga Whale, Greater Beluga Whale, where they say, we have since pivoted from that messaging, talking about the preseason item changes. We've since pivoted from that messaging after doing some digging in the space during preseason work. Healing is a core and natural mechanic in League and really in most games where units have health. Healing and play around it should be embraced and developed further rather than skirted away from. This includes easier access to Grievous Wounds, cheaper and more usable by most all champs, and they have done that. They have added Grievous Wounds to more items. The only thing is, different classes, different champions, different items are able to apply Grievous Wounds more effectively, more efficiently than others. Some champions getting like a Thorn Mail on them or whatever tank items apply Grievous Wounds can be very, very, very hard to actually apply Grievous Wounds, especially to the threats that you need to apply it to in certain games against certain champions, against certain comps, and that can always feel bad, especially if you're playing like solo queue and stuff, and you're trying to deal with healers specifically. So I don't know, it's not my favorite solution, but they have added some more Grievous Wound items for sure. They have added some more options, which they think is a good thing. This includes easier to access Grievous Wounds in the same vein that you can buy armor to deal with physical damage, another core and natural mechanic in the game. And before next year, this gets quoted as a Riot lied to us when Morello comes back from the great beyond to delete Soraka. We open our eyes to the truth of healing as the root of all evil. So they make a little bit of a joke of it at the end, which is kind of weird because they are bringing up a very, very fair point that Riot did say that they were going to do this, completely not do it at all, and then never say anything to the community, never address it, never tell people that their goals or philosophy or whatever changed as people kept expecting healing to be reduced and stuff. And if anything, we're seeing an increase in healing. Conquer is as prevalent as ever. A ton of weird stuff going on right now. So as they say in this Reddit thread, the comparison between armor and physical damage and healing and Grievous Wounds is very, very weird to me. Healing should not be as prevalent as physical damage or attack damage. That is a very, very core mechanic to the game that, you know, at any given time, at least half, if not more, then half of the champions are going to be physical damage dealers, are going to be AD dealers. And yes, if somebody gets fed, armor is a way to deal with them. But does healing need to be such a core thing that there is a very large subgroup of just healing champions that need Grievous Wounds to be dealt with them? I don't know. I think that is kind of a weird comparison. I think a lot of other people do as well. As this guy says, he'd like to raise the discussion. He says physical damage is in theory frequently tuned around the damage you deal to the squishy targets, and armor is a way to make yourself more durable against it. That makes sense. There's stats such as lethality, armor pen you can use to mitigate defenses. This leads to a fairly rich itemization where armor isn't mandatory since physical damage isn't tuned to be overpowering if you don't have it, but it also isn't crippling for those who deal physical damage when you do build armor. So there is a very, very nice give and take. You can build AD, and you're not just going to start completely one-shotting everyone that doesn't have armor and take over the game, but if you do build armor, it's still possible to die to physical damage dealers, where healing kind of feels like the opposite. There's certain champions where they are going to become absolutely unkillable if you do not have Grievous Wounds, or if Grievous Wounds just in the game is too weak. If Grievous Wounds does not cut healing enough, there are some champions who, good luck killing them. They're kind of balanced around, we're going to get so much healing, we're going to become so strong that you need to build Grievous Wounds. And then also if Grievous Wounds is too strong, then certain champions, like I know there's times where Mundo just feels like unplayable if Grievous Wounds becomes too good, or Vladimir becomes too unplayable if Grievous Wounds is too cheap, too strong, too easy to get, and all that stuff. So it is this really, really weird give and take where I don't think that the comparison between armor and physical damage is too apt. I don't think it makes too much sense here. And like this guy says, there's not as much depth to healing and stuff in the game. Again, in my opinion, I agreed with their preseason philosophy of beginning to cut down on some unnecessary healing. I do think healing has a place in League of Legends. If you want some healing champions, if you want Vladimir, Aatrox, Mundo, that's great. Even if guys like Kane, who might be a little bit too much, whatever. I think there is a place for that, definitely. And I think if you're going to have that, Grievous Wounds needs to exist in the form of whatever different items. If you want to add more items, great. If you want to buff, nerf Grievous Wounds, whatever. There's always going to be a back and forth in terms of balancing. But I think at certain points in the game, we have Conquer, we have healing items, we have champions who heal naturally, plus we have all these champions based around healing and stuff. It definitely becomes a little weird, and again, it also makes that power creep necessary of including more and more burst in the game, which, you know, that feels bad for squishies, that feels bad for AD carries, but if Mundo is going to be healing this much, if Kane's going to be healing this much, if Aatrox's going to be healing this much, then you have to be able to burst them before they can actually get their healing off. Otherwise, they're going to be unkillable even with Grievous Wounds, because some of these champions have so much healing that even reducing it by whatever Grievous Wounds does at the time, 30, 40%, whatever, can ultimately be pretty meaningless in the end. But I did think this was a pretty interesting discussion, and I'm kind of curious what people think. Do they like the preseason philosophy from Riot of reducing healing, or do they want to see more healing? Do they think it is kind of a core mechanic to the game, like maybe Riot believes now? Either way, I think Riot owes us a response, whether it's on Twitter, in the patch notes or whatever. They need an official outlet talking about this, their change of philosophy, since they're going back on their word from 5 months ago. Because again, a lot of people in the community do feel like Riot has kind of lied to them, saying they were going to do something and then kind of backing out from it without ever addressing the community again, which is kind of weird, not very transparent, not very cool of them. But what you gonna do? That is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this situation. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on anything we talked about in this video today. Subscribe so you're up to date on the latest content. Hopefully I catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace!